Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Before we start today's video, I want to spend a few seconds talking about what has been happening, why I haven't been uploading that much, and pretty much the future of the channel and everything. So if you're not interested, skip to the timestamp on screen right now. Alright, to the ones that are left, pretty much what has happened is that I started working, so I had to fit making videos, playing games, and also taking time to, of course, work, sleep, and everything else. So that has been a bit of a problem for me. Adjusting my sleep schedule and everything because it was a bit messed up, but yeah, I've managed to kind of get a grip on it. So yeah, I should be back on the usual schedule now of 2 videos a week, and yeah, it's gonna usually be 1 video every 3 to 4 days, maybe 5 days once in a while. I guess we will see how it goes. And extra announcement, I will be missing for Easter because I'm going on a little vacation, so I won't be available from the 18th to the 24th-ish. So this whole week I won't be available, and yeah, I'll just see you guys after that. I will probably keep you updated with some posts on my other social medias. You can find all of them in the description of the video. And that's pretty much all of it. I've also started playing some other games, so I might bring some of those as content on the channel. And yeah, that's all. I'll leave you guys to the rest of the video. So today we're back in Warframe for another build, and this time we're having a look at Khora Prime. This Warframe recently received a major change in the form of a new way of modding her exalted weapon, and today we're gonna explore a new whole setup for her weapon, and pretty much everything else in her kit. Khora is also a very unique Warframe because she has access to an additional path, and she has access to many ways of crowd controlling enemies, and in general she is great for dealing with large hordes of bad guys. Anyways, that's enough introductions for now, so let's jump into the build. Starting from her abilities, we have her passive, which is pretty simple. She has access to this additional pet, which is called Venari, and Venari is able to fight enemies and also provides a 50% speed boost to Khora. If killed, Venari will respawn after 45 seconds, and you don't have to worry about keeping him alive because he will just die most of the time, but whenever he is alive, he is a pretty good killing machine. You're also able to mod Venari and its claws in these 2 tabs here. Moving on to her first ability, this one is called Whipclaw, and this is Khora's exalted weapon. This ability costs energy per cast, so every time you cast it, it's gonna drain a bit of energy. Range is how far this whip will travel, and the radius defines how big the AoE at the end of the whip will be after it hits something. And this Whipclaw can be modded separately and has access to the new exalted combo count. And I've made a full guide talking about this weapon and all the other new exalted weapons in the video you can find right now in the corner of your screen. Moving on to the second ability, this one is called Ensnare. You can cast this ability on one enemy and it will draw all enemies nearby towards the first target, and all enemies caught in a snare radius will pretty much just stay there and you'll be able to deal with them however you want. The ability has a caster range of 79.5 meters with this build, a radius of 26.5 meters, which is how far the ability will travel from the central target to targets nearby, duration is how long the ability will last, and propagation delay is how fast the ability will pull in enemies. And when you cast Whipclaw on ensnared enemies, it will refresh the duration of the trap, and that means it can spread for longer amounts of time. The thing is that if you kill the main guy that you targeted with ensnare, the trap will end its duration anyway, so it's kind of a whatever thing, but I mean it's a thing it does. Moving on, I replaced her third ability with Dispensary. This way I have a more sustainable energy economy, and usually her third ability is pretty much useless because it allows you to command Venari, so it's a bit kind of not worth having because Venari is not exactly the most survivable thing, and usually people will subsume other abilities over this one. And last but not least, we have Strangledom, which is her fourth ability. By casting this ability, you summon a Chain Dome that will CC enemies in range. It will pretty much drag them towards the center or hang them if they somehow end up into higher points of the dome. And enemies inside it will continuously take damage. It's not a lot of damage, but it's something, I guess. Radius is how big the dome itself is, and grab radius is how far the dome can reach with its kind of chains. It lasts for 22 seconds, which is pretty good, and it does also go in combo with your Whipclaw. By using Whipclaw on the dome, you hit all enemies inside of it. You can have both Strangledom and Ensnare on the same enemy, so that's quite nice because you get both the benefits of Ensnare and the benefits of Strangledom. So those were the abilities. Let's now move on to Archon Shards. The ones I recommend using are 1 yellow shard with casting speed, 1 crimson shard with ability duration, and 1 violet shard that grants us an additional 37% more melee crit damage, and if our energy is over 500, we gain double that amount, so 74%. You can, of course, add more of this if you want. The thing is that I do prefer having more energy effectiveness of energy orbs, and that is because I usually spam my abilities way too much, so I kind of find myself running out of energy most of the time in a mission, so that's why I have this too. But you can, of course, again replace this with either more ability duration or more crit damage. It's completely up to you. And finally, these are the mods I'm going to use in today's video. Brief Respite as our aura of choice, and this grants us shields based on how much energy we spend, so the more energy we spend, the more shields we get, and it's going to be our main way to stay alive in missions, and we can shield gate all the damage we take. Then I'm running Handspring in my Exfil slot. Yes, I know it's not Prime Sure-Footed. You can of course go for a Prime Sure-Footed if you want to spend the additional form, I guess. I just had this one, so I went for Handspring instead. It's completely fine, you won't even notice the difference. Then we have Overextended, Stretch, and Augur Reach for a ton more range, Prime Continuity for ability duration, Prime Flow to increase our energy pool, and this allows us to have more than 500 to activate the Violet Shard, Fleeting Expertise for ability efficiency at the cost of some ability duration. And then we have two augments, and those are Pilfering Strangledome that grants us 65% chance of dropping additional loot when we kill enemies inside Strangledome, and Accumulating Whipclaw that increases the damage of our Whipclaw by 35% when hitting 3 enemies, and this can stack up to a maximum of 350%, and it starts decaying after 10 seconds, but if you keep hitting enemies, it will just keep refreshing itself and stay at 350%, and it's not affected by power strength, so yeah, it's just free damage, and that's why we can go negative power strength, and pretty much don't care about it. The arcanes I'm using are Arcane Aegis, that on shield damage you have a 3% chance for 30% shield recharge for 12 seconds, and that's pretty much 12 seconds of being completely immune to damage, unless it's Toxin, so it's a very solid arcane for survivability. And Molt Augmented, that on kill grants you more ability strength up to a maximum of 60%, and that means we reach 100% strength, so we don't have to worry about negative stats anymore. And we are not done yet, we still have Venari Prime, Hits Claws, and also Whipclaw Prime. Yes, this build is gonna be quite intense. So these are the mods I'm using on Venari. It doesn't really matter what you equip on him, the only two important mods are going to be Prime Animal Instinct and Tenacious Bond for that 1.2x final crit damage multiplier, and that is a lot of free damage. And this is the build I have on its claws. It's just a bunch of other elements, so it can apply those, and those will work towards Condition Overload. And finally, we have our Whipclaw Prime. And here you can see that we have 7.7 crit damage multiplier. That is quite a lot, and it goes down to 3.8 because those are all the buffs we have active while in mission. And the mods I'm using are Galvanized Steel for more crit chance, and normally kill 30% more crit damage up to 4 stacks, Blood Rush for 40% more crit chance per combo multiplier, Organ Shatter for even more crit damage, Condition Overload for 80% more melee damage per status type affecting the target, Carnage Mandible for more slash damage and status chance, Voltaic Strike for electricity and status chance, Galvanized Elementalist for status damage and normally kill 30% status chance up to 4 stacks, and finally Drifting Contact for 10 seconds combo duration and 40% status chance. And the arcane I'm using is Melee Influence to spread all these statuses to all the enemies we hit, which is a lot at once, so yeah, it's a lot of statuses that will deal a lot of damage thanks to Galvanized Elementalist. Range stat on the weapon is the explosion radius of the whip, and combo duration is at 22.5 seconds, so it pretty much lasts forever. You pretty much don't have to worry about your combo duration at all. Now moving to weapons, you can pretty much use whatever you like. I just think these options do fit her quite well. I'm using the Koda's Polotrix. That is a pretty solid primary weapon, and it's nice to have just in case I want to hit something very far away and deal massive amounts of damage. The Grimoire, which is gonna be the thing I use the most with this build, since it has access to Wrist Invocation that increases ability duration by 4% per enemy hit up to 15 times, so 60% more ability duration, which is very nice on this build. I'm also running a bunch of Augur mods, and that is to increase the energy to shield conversion that we have with Brief Respite, then grants us a bunch of survivability. And the melee weapon I'm using is the Dual Ichor, and that's pretty much because I really like this weapon, although I'm probably never gonna use it because Whipclaw is just superior and deals more damage. And finally, of course, I'm using my Panzer Rupaphyla, and that is to spread viral like crazy. This is the build I have on this puppy, and this is the build I have on its claws. And that's pretty much the whole build. It took forever because there's a lot of things to talk about, but yeah, let's now see it in action. Alright, we have here our 20 Khora Abilities Heavy Gunners, level 225, with of course Seal Path modifiers, and they are already getting shredded by our Kavats here. We can just add our Whipclaw to it, and let's see what happens. Yeah, it appears that enemies are dead. So let's try that again. You can see the combo counter. It's that big 8x you see on the screen. That just goes up by 20 every time we hit something. Every cast adds 20 if we hit something. If we don't hit anything, it just doesn't do anything. We can, of course, add a snare, so enemies are more grouped together, and it's the same, just gonna be the same, they just die in one cast. Doesn't really matter what you do, every cast of your Whipclaw is gonna be enough to deal with all enemies. Let's add the Strangle Doom. We can just hit whatever. It's gonna spread damage to all enemies that are hanging. So yeah, that is pretty much how the build works. It's not gonna matter what level enemies are. It's just gonna deal enough damage to kill them. And your main focus is not gonna be damage. It's gonna actually be staying alive. We do have a lot of shield gating to pretty much stay alive against everything. But yeah, I mean, I think damage is not exactly gonna be our problem at all. And yeah, that is pretty much Khora Prime with this new build. Obviously, in the Simulacrum, everything sounds easy and simple and amazing, but believe me, this build is also simple, amazing, and incredibly strong in any other mission in the game. You can use it to farm resources you need, thanks to pilfering Strangle Dome. You can use it in any defense mission because you can use your Strangle Dome to defend the target. You can also have up to 2 of them, so, you know, that's a massive area you're pretty much locking down, and you also have your ensnare, so yeah, it's a pretty solid CC ability. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. I'm now gonna leave you guys to the showcase where I test this build for 10 minutes in a survival in stealth path, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, and bye-bye.
The fires remember. Pushing me closer to the edge. Hey, like John, I let loose. Don't know if I do. All the things that I said. Pushing me closer to the edge. Hey, like John, I let loose. Don't know if I do. Don't know
there's a beauty in the way you're worn, and the sharpness of your thorn, so vibrant in the imperfection, in the pain there's something real, all that anger so concealed, till you're lost in how to feel, just let me hold that severed heart.
wasn't scared to see you always knew it in my bones. That's all that he was going to tell me. You said, come on over, I'm an angel, why you're close. I couldn't be just behind you. You're not on the list, but I can get you inside. Use your mind, listen to your voices and guide you. Give yourself over, yeah, you don't wanna fight. If you do, I'm gonna bid you a hard cold goodnight, baby. Hang on to your ticket, chips and wind, alright. And if you don't, just hold it back to the light. Should've listened to me.